In the vast tapestry of the multiverse, sometimes a king falls not from grace, but through reality itself. When Wakanda's protector tested an experimental vibranium hyperdrive, the cosmos tore open, casting T'Challa across dimensions into a galaxy gripped by Empire. On Kashyyyk, where Wookiee warriors faced enslavement, a king without a throne would forge an alliance that would echo through legend. This is the story of when Wakanda met the stars. The blaster bolt seared past T'Challa's head, close enough that he could smell the ozone. His vibranium suit absorbed the impact of 3 more shots as he rolled behind a massive Rosher tree trunk, its ancient bark thicker than a starship's hull. Above him, in the towering canopy of Kashyyyk, Wookiee warriors roared their battle cries, a sound that shook leaves from branches 100 meters away. Chewbacca's voice thundered through the forest as he swung down on a vine, his bowcaster singing its deadly song. The young Wookiee warrior, barely 30 years old but already standing 7 feet tall, landed beside the strange armored figure who had fallen from the stars only 3 months ago. Your people fight with honor, but honor alone won't win this battle. The translation matrix in T'Challa's helmet crackled. It had taken 3 weeks to properly calibrate to Kashyyyk complex tonal structure, and even now it sometimes failed at crucial moments. Chewbacca tilted his massive head, confused. Who was this dark-skinned human who moved like a shadow and struck like lightning? 3 months ago, Chewbacca and Chieftain Tarful had found him in the Shadowlands, standing beside the twisted, mostly destroyed remains of a ship unlike anything in the galaxy. Sleek black metal that seemed to drink in light, powered by purple crystals that hummed with impossible energy. Another volley of blaster fire forced them deeper into cover. The Trandoshans were pressing their advantage, using shock prods to herd captured Wookiees toward their slave transport. The Empire had given them carte blanche to harvest the planet's population for labor camps. After all, who better to build Star Destroyers than beings with the strength of 10 men? T'Challa closed his eyes, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility. He was king of Wakanda, or had been, before that catastrophic hyperdrive test had torn him from his universe and deposited him here in this strange galaxy where the stars themselves seemed different. His prototype ship, meant to establish Wakanda's first interstellar embassy, had malfunctioned spectacularly. The vibranium-powered hyperdrive had created a rift he couldn't explain, pulling him through dimensions like a stone skipping across cosmic waters. Chewbacca, tell your warriors to fall back to the second ridge. Trust me. The Wookiee growled uncertainly, but relayed the command with a series of roars. As the Wookiees retreated, the Trandoshans pressed forward, sensing victory. The Emperor pays well for strong backs. Take them all. That's when T'Challa struck. He emerged from cover like a living shadow, his suit's kinetic energy redistributors glowing purple as they absorbed and redirected the slavers' blaster fire. His movements were a blur, Wakandan martial arts meeting alien combat in a deadly dance. He grabbed a Trandoshan's shock pike, spun it once, and used it to vault over their front line, landing in their midst like a cat among lizards. The slaver fired his heavy repeater at point-blank range. The shot struck T'Challa's chest, and for a moment, the slaver's lips curled in triumph. Then the king smiled beneath his mask. Where I come from, we have a saying, the hunter becomes the hunted. The king released all the stored kinetic energy in a purple shockwave that sent Trandoshans flying. The Wookiees charged back into battle with renewed fury, and within minutes, the slavers were routed. Those who survived fled to their transport, engines screaming as they escaped into Kashyyy's green sky. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. We thank you all for your continued support. That evening, in the great tree city of Rukroro, T'Challa sat before the Council of Chieftains. The platform, carved from a single massive branch 500 feet above the florist's floor, was lit by bioluminescent fungi that cast everything in soft blue light. Tarful, gray-furred and ancient by Wookiee standards, studied the strange visitor through eyes that had seen the Clone Wars, had fought behind Yoda himself when the Jedi Master had tried to help them. The translation mix in T'Challa's helmet sparked and sputtered before finally converting, "You are not of this galaxy. Your technology, your fighting style, even the way you carry yourself, all foreign. Yet you fought for us. Why?" T'Challa removed his mask, revealing his face to the assembled Wookiees. Several of them murmured. They had seen humans before, but none quite like this. "Because I recognize oppression when I see it. In my world, my country, Wakanda, we hid ourselves away for centuries, protected by technology and tradition while others suffered. I became king to change that, to share our knowledge with those who needed it. Being trapped here doesn't change my duty." Chewbacca translated, his voice softer than the elders. She asks, "The Empire grows stronger every day. They take our people to build their war machines. The Jedi are gone. The Republic is dead. What can one outsider do against such power?" T'Challa stood, walking to the edge of the platform where he could see the endless forest stretching to the horizon. In Wakanda, we have a metal called vibranium. It absorbs energy, redistributes it, makes the impossible possible. My ship was mostly destroyed, but I've salvaged enough from the intact storage pods, enough to make a difference. I can teach you to forge armor that turns your enemy's weapons against them, shields that make your warriors nearly invincible. But more than that, I can teach you to fight as Wakanda fights, not just with strength, but with strategy, with technology, with unity. Yes, we forge a new path together. The next 3 months blurred together like a fever dream. Deep in the Wookiees' sacred forges, massive chambers carved into the heart of ancient trees where they had crafted bowcasters for millennia, T'Challa worked alongside their greatest smiths. The translation matrix in his suit finally gave out completely after 2 months, forcing him to learn Kashyyyk the hard way, through immersion and patience. Chewbacca proved to be his most eager student. The young Wookiee had an engineer's mind, understanding instinctively how to merge Wakandan technology with Kashyyyks' traditional crafting methods. Together, they created something new, armor plates that could be integrated into the Wookiees' traditional battle harnesses, weapons that channeled vibranium's energy-absorbing properties through cortosis weave fibers. The secret wasn't in the metal alone, but in the precise forging techniques T'Challa taught them, methods that would be useless to anyone who hadn't spent months learning the intricate process. In my world, we have a saying, Wakanda forever. It means our knowledge, our strength, our spirit endures beyond any one person, any one generation. T'Challa had learned enough Kashyyyk to understand without the translator. Yes, Kashyyyk eternal. Our worlds are different, but our hearts beat the same. It was during the 16th week that everything changed. T'Challa was training a group of young Wookiee warriors in Wakandan combat techniques, teaching them to use their opponent's strength against them, to strike at weak points rather than relying solely on brute force. When Tarful's son, Kalnaka, came crashing through the canopy, "Weah!" Even without the translator, the terror in his voice was universal. Shadow warriors, the Emperor's Inquisitors. The attack came at dawn. The Inquisitor, a pale skeletal Pawan in black armor, led a contingent of Imperial stormtroopers and Trandoshan mercenaries. But these weren't the common slavers the Wookiees had faced before. These were equipped with military-grade weapons, flame units designed to burn out tree cities, and worse, sonic devastators that could shatter wood and bone alike. Surrender the outsider. The Emperor demands his technology. Resist, and your entire species will burn. T'Challa stood on the main platform of Wukroro, Chewbacca and 100 vibranium-armored Wookiee warriors beside him. The new armor gleamed dully in the morning light, its purple undertones catching the sun. Each warrior carried weapons enhanced with vibranium, bowcasters that fired energy bolts charged with kinetic feedback. If your Emperor wants Wakandan technology, tell him to come and take it himself. So be it. The battle that followed would become legend among the Wookiees. The Inquisitor descended like a red-bladed shadow, his double-bladed lightsaber spinning in deadly arcs. Stormtroopers repelled from gunships, while Trandoshans attacked from the forest floor. But the Wookiees were ready. Chewbacca led the first countercharge, his vibranium-enhanced armor absorbing blaster bolts that would have killed him instantly. He grabbed a stormtrooper's rifle, crushed it in one hand, and used the trooper himself as a projectile weapon against his fellows. Around him, his fellow warriors discovered what T'Challa's gifts had given them, not invincibility, but something close to it. T'Challa himself faced the Inquisitor. The Darksider was skilled, his lightsaber a crimson blur, the Force lending him inhuman speed and strength. But T'Challa had faced gods and monsters in his own world. He moved like living darkness, his suit's systems compensating for his lack of force sensitivity with pure technological superiority. You cannot defeat the dark side with primitive technology. The Inquisitor launched a telekinetic assault that should have crushed T'Challa against a tree. The King's suit absorbed the kinetic impact, purple energy coursing through its fibers. Perhaps not, but I don't need to defeat the dark side. I just need to defeat you. T'Challa launched himself forward with the stored energy, moving faster than even force-enhanced reflexes could track. His vibranium claws met the Inquisitor's lightsaber briefly, just long enough for the energy dispersion to destabilize the blade's cohesion for a split second, allowing him to slip inside the Darksider's guard. The battle raged for hours. Tree platforms burned and fell. Warriors on both sides died, but slowly, inexorably, the tide turned. The Wookiees' new armaments proved devastatingly effective. Stormtrooper armor, designed to dissipate energy weapons, couldn't handle the kinetic feedback of vibranium-enhanced bowcaster bolts. The Inquisitor, bloodied and exhausted, made one last desperate attack. He reached out with the Force, trying to crush T'Challa's windpipe. For a moment, the King struggled, his suit's systems unable to compensate for an attack that bypassed physical matter entirely. The vibranium-charged bolt struck the Inquisitor in the shoulder, spinning him around. As he turned, T'Challa struck, his claws finding the gap in the Darksider's armor. The Inquisitor fell to his knees, lightsaber tumbling from nerveless fingers. Tell your emperor that Kashyyyk is under protection of Wakanda, and Wakanda does not wield. But even as the remaining Imperials retreated, T'Challa felt a chill run down his spine. Through the Force, though he could not feel it directly, something watched, something far more powerful than an Inquisitor. 3 days later, he came. Darth Vader's arrival was preceded by silence. The birds stopped singing. The wind stilled. Even the great Rosher trees seemed to hold their breath. His shuttle landed in the ruins of a platform destroyed in the previous battle, and he emerged like death itself, black armor gleaming, respirator hissing with mechanical precision. T'Challa met him alone, despite Chewbacca's protests. This was not a battle that could be won with armies. You are not of this galaxy. Your technology is fascinating. The Emperor believes it could accelerate our projects significantly. The Emperor can believe whatever he wishes. Vibranium will not serve the Empire. You speak as though you have a choice. I could take it from your corpse. You could try. The duel was brief and brutal. T'Challa had faced the Inquisitor and won, but Vader was something else entirely. The Sith Lord moved with frightening economy, each strike precisely calculated to kill. T'Challa's suit absorbed the lightsaber strikes momentarily, vibranium dispersing the energy, but it was being overwhelmed. Worse, Vader wielded the Force like a weapon, lifting entire trees and hurling them, creating crushing pressure that even vibranium couldn't fully negate. Within minutes, T'Challa was on his knees, suit sparking and damaged. Vader's lightsaber hovered at his throat. Fascinating. Your armor resisted longer than expected. The Emperor will find uses for this technology. Wait, I'll make you a deal. Vader paused, his mask tilting slightly. You are in no position to negotiate. Perhaps not, but consider this. Vibranium must be worked carefully, with specific techniques known only by me. The metal alone is useless without the forging process. Force it, and it becomes worthless. Try to extract its secrets through violence, and you'll learn nothing. T'Challa slowly stood, Vader allowing it out of curiosity. I'll give you what remains of my raw supply, metal that your scientists can study. In exchange, you leave Kashyyyk alone. And you? T'Challa removed his damaged mask, meeting the Dark Lord's hidden gaze. I disappear. The Wookiees know nothing of the complex forging process without me. Take your samples and go. You'll have what the Emperor wants. New technology to study, but this world and its people remain free. You would sacrifice your greatest weapon to protect beings you've known for mere months? A king's duty is to serve. It doesn't matter if they're my people or not. Something in that statement seemed to affect Vader. His lightsaber deactivated. You have 3 days to prepare your samples. Then you vanish. If I find you've deceived me, I will burn this entire world to cinders. As the Sith Lord departed, Chewbacca and Tarful emerged from hiding. He said, you can't trust him. And he's right, which is why we have 3 days to hide the real vibranium and prepare samples that will degrade. I'll give him raw metal without the molecular stabilization process. Within months, it'll become brittle and useless. By then, I'll be long gone, and the secret of proper forging will be safe with you. The night before T'Challa's departure, all of Rukk-Roro gathered for a feast in his honor. Warriors wore their vibranium-enhanced armor proudly. Cubs played with training weapons he had helped design. The Tree City glowed with bioluminescent celebration lights, and the air filled with songs that had not been sung since before the Empire's rise. T'Challa sat beside Chewbacca, 2 warriors sharing a quiet moment amid the celebration. Where will I go? Into the deep forests, into the Shadowlands where even the Empire fears to tread. Perhaps I'll find a way home, perhaps not, but the knowledge I've shared will live on. And you, my friend, will do great things. I can feel it. Someday, when the galaxy needs heroes most, you'll be there. The next morning, T'Challa delivered the unstabilized vibranium samples to Vader's shuttle. The Sith Lord studied him for a long moment. The Emperor believes you may attempt to return to your own dimension. He has ordered me to ensure you never succeed. Then the Emperor has nothing to worry about. My ship is destroyed. The technology is lost. Vader turned to leave, then paused. You fought well, for someone without the Force. In another life, you might have made a formidable ally. In another life, many things might be different. As the Imperial shuttle disappeared into the sky, T'Challa gathered his remaining gear. Hidden deep in Chewbacca's workshop was his true legacy, detailed instructions for the complete forging process written in a cipher only the Wookiees could understand. Enough knowledge to forge perhaps 100 sets of armor, 1,000 weapons. Not enough to change the galaxy, but enough to ensure Kashyyyk would never be enslaved. Years would pass, the Empire would tighten its grip on the galaxy, the rebellion would rise, and through it all, whispers would spread through Kashyyyk's forest of the Shadow King, the warrior from beyond the stars who had given them the strength to resist. Chewbacca would leave Kashyyyk eventually, life debt bound to a smuggler named Han Solo, but he would carry with him a secret, bracers of vibranium woven invisibly into his bandolier, a final gift from T'Challa. They would save his life more than once in Cantina brawls and Death Star assaults, though he would never speak of their origin. Some claimed to see T'Challa in the deepest Shadowlands, training the most desperate Wookiee refugees in forgotten ways of war. Others said he had found a way to commune with the planet itself, becoming one with Kashyyyk's living spirit. The Empire sent expeditions to find him, but they either returned empty-handed or didn't return at all. The truth was simpler and sadder. Deep in a cave beneath the roots of the oldest Rosher tree on Kashyyyk, T'Challa worked alone. Using salvaged technology and indigenous materials, he had built a beacon, not to call for rescue, but to send a message across dimensions. Every night, the beacon transmitted the same signal: Wakanda forever, the knowledge lives on. He never knew if the signal reached home, but somewhere, in another universe, a princess named Shuri picked up an impossible transmission on equipment that shouldn't have been able to detect it, and she smiled, knowing her brother lived, knowing he had found a way to serve even in exile. On Kashyyyk, as the twin suns set through the canopy, Chewbacca's son would gather cubs around the fire and tell them the story: how a king without a kingdom had made their world his own, how Wakandan wisdom merged with Wookiee strength to create something neither world could have imagined alone, how in the darkest hour of the Empire's reign, hope had fallen from the stars in the form of a man who refused to yield. And in the shadows of the forest, barely visible through the evening mist, a figure in dark armor would sometimes watch these gatherings. Purple light would flicker, just for a moment, as vibranium caught the firelight. Then it would vanish, returning to legend, returning to the eternal watch. The Wookiees would end their tale the same way each time, with words taught to them by a king from another world: Wakanda forever, Kashyyyk eternal, in unity, strength, in strength, freedom. The Empire would fall, the New Republic would rise, wars would come and go, but in the great trees of Kashyyyk, the legacy endured: armor that turned violence into protection, weapons that made the weak strong, and most importantly, the memory of a hero who proved that courage knows no borders, not even between universes. T'Challa, King of Wakanda, protector of Kashyyyk, had forged more than an alliance. He had forged a legend that would outlive empires. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows of what might have been, remember to hit that subscribe button and join us for more explorations of the infinite possibilities within that galaxy far, far away. May the Force be with you, always.